Hello everyone, welcome to Astro Life on Instagram. I'm your host, Rod Chang. Once a week, me and one of my friends, astrologer friend, we're talking about the recent transit and the interesting topic and what happened around the world. And today is regular guest is Fernanda Paiva. So first I'm going to call Fernanda. I hope it's not like last time when I make huge mistake with Isabel and kick out everyone and just a conversation between me and Isa for 1 hour nearly. Okay, let me call Fernanda first. Hiya! Hey! Hello. Hi, Fernanda. How are you?
Good. How are you, Rod?
Not too bad. Well, you can see I wear my jumper. It's a little bit cold here at this moment. You know,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
The temperature drop, and unfortunately, I get a little bit cold.
Mm.
Party too hard. Things like Halloween weekend.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
how are you?
I'm okay. I mean, São Paulo is slightly cold as well, but not too
Yeah.
cold. It's like a
Okay.
nice, pleasant
Okay.
cold, I
Yeah.
would say.
I know you. I know you are in South Hemisphere, so the climate will be very different. But I also curious because we read the news. So the Brazilian presidential election. Does the result please you?
Yes, it's amazing. I mean, I'm
Okay.
very happy, very relieved. A
Yeah.
lot of my friends as well. We were watching the results live on the television, and it was like
Yeah.
it was very Bolsonaro almost got re-elected again. It was like
Yeah.
49% or something. It was a very, very small difference between the
The
two,
graphic. Yeah.
but it was a great, like, it was amazing relief. But
And
there
yeah,
are
I
loads of
heard
people
about.
protesting now.
Yeah, because I heard about he was keep silence for nearly something like a 40 hour or something, keep silence without saying a word, and finally just like release, yes, there is a
Yeah.
transaction, but I think the his supporters starting to protest, right?
Yes. So his supporters are a lot of his supporters. I wouldn't say all of them, obviously, but
Mm-hmm.
a lot of them are protesting, and they're all like blocking the roads.
Yeah.
So people cannot go anywhere. Like, some people need to go to different cities for like medical treatments,
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
can't go anywhere. So it is a bit tricky, really. I
but
mean, yeah.
but astrological speaking, do you find it interesting because this is the moment we have the Mars in Gemini in
Mm,
the anger protest blocking the road. The
mm,
Gemini, the
yes.
Gemini is so interesting, right?
Yeah. Yes, I definitely do. And I do feel that his loss was inevitable. I mean, I did see one astrologer saying that he was going
Yeah,
to win only, but most of the astrologers were kind of saying it looks like he's going to lose.
yeah.
And I'm really glad we were right. Yeah, it's like a real celebration. A lot of like the other political leaders around the world are congratulating
Yeah,
our elected president, and everyone around the world, I think, is relieved because
yeah.
of his care for the environment and
I
etc., which
agree.
concerns everybody else, not just
Yeah,
Brazilian people.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That
yeah,
is from the environmental view. I really enjoy this result, to be honest. But you know, hey, we are astrologer, but it's very interesting about when we do that. Today we are not going to talk about too much mundane, but it's
yeah,
very interesting. Like when you make a prediction or forecasting about a election result, especially when you are in the country and you have your favor in certain party.
yeah,
Sometimes it's like we have to be very very careful
mm,
to
yeah,
like not going to read the chart in the in my
bias,
favor. Yeah, the
yeah,
bias, that is so important, the bias, because we have to remind ourselves. I couldn't easily read this sign as oh, he's going to win, yay.
yeah,
Sometimes you have to remind yourself to hold back and not get too excited. But hey, I like this result so far, and I hope the transition of power will be very smooth.
yeah, me
Hey,
too.
this is a game, this is political, this is a democratic, so that's follow the rule.
I think
Yeah,
it's
a little
quite
bit of hope.
important.
A little bit of hope
Yeah.
here with the
So,
election. Nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So,
today our topic is not about, wait, sorry. Sorry, I get cold. Well, today our topic is not about Brazilian election, but we couldn't hesitate to talk about that. But okay,
yes.
what our topic is going to focus on the lunar eclipse coming up, lunar eclipse on 8th of November. So my first question to Fernanda is, in your view, is there different when you do the interpretation between solar eclipse and the lunar eclipse? Do you see it differently?
That's a good question, isn't it? I think I do see, because it's a different cycle as well. But I
Yeah.
have a different stage of the cycle, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I think when we have a new moon, which is a solar eclipse, we have the
Yep.
moon like crossing on top of the sun. So it's
Yeah.
basically the moon casting a shade, a shadow in the sun. So we become
Yep.
more lunar. So
Yep.
things raise more from the unconscious. That's the way I would
Yeah.
see it. Whereas the
Yeah.
lunar eclipse is the sun illuminating the moon. So it's like the other way around. So it's more like shedding light. And is stepping more into a conscious side of the process of transformation. So this is the way that I would see the difference between the lunar and the solar, and then the new moon and the full moon sort of stage of the cycle. So from that that new moon that we came out of a couple of weeks ago, when a lot of I like to think as like the monster, our inner monsters that we're kind of raising from from the swamp, and we had an opportunity to face all of these difficult feelings, difficult situations, things that were really somewhere there hidden, and it was really a pointer to something important. Now with the full moon, I think it's not necessarily something coming up from the swamp, but something very obvious, like a combination of these realizations that we're having. This is kind of how I see the difference. How about you, Rod? How do you see the difference between the two?
Yeah, well, to be honest, I think I take similar take from you, because is the solar eclipse is about the new moon, and lunar eclipse about the full moon. So there is the stage of the two different stage, and then the first one with the solar eclipse would be the beginning, but it's an important beginning about something related to. But the 2 weeks later, 15 days later, we will have this lunar eclipse. But things is like you say, lunar eclipse is a full moon, so we are more clear. We have some idea about this, what are we going to face, or what we just like to realize, but maybe realize with a little bit more shocking way, or a little bit more emotion. There is the emotional response about this realization. I think like, oh, we realize something going to happen. So this is my view of the solar eclipse and the lunar eclipse. But basically, it's quite interesting. Like also some astrologer were talking about the both solar eclipse and the lunar eclipse about cleansing. What do you think?
Well, I definitely think about that in that way as well. I think it's like, especially because it's in Scorpio as well, this season. So we have the Scorpio-Taurus axis, which is fixed, and it's trying to hold on to things. So it does kind of challenge anything that's stagnated, anything that we're trying to hold on too much, but we're like ready to move on from. So I always feel that the lunar cycles, they illuminate things in that way, like of our emotional selves and of how we give birth to ourselves, because I really see the lunar cycle in relation to fertility and creativity as well, and creating something. But I think that the eclipse is something is a higher a notch, is a bit more dramatic in the what needs to be let go of, what we need to move on from, the person that we need to become as well. Like it becomes very urgent during eclipse season. And mind you, eclipse season is something that happens every year. It's not like, oh my God,
true.
Something terrible is going to happen or anything like that. But it's like a season. It's like twice a year. we have eclipse season, and it is there for a reason. It is reflection, something that's very important. It's a big clearing, I would say. It's like it really forces you to clear out something, to let go of something, to go in the right direction, to face the fears that are holding you back, or you know, to face that sort of swamp material that raised up with the new moon, and work on it somehow, and be conscious of it, and understand why you haven't taken certain actions, or you haven't done certain things in your life yet. So I really see the eclipse in connection to change, for sure.
Yeah, I think last week I was talking with Isabel about the solar eclipse, and then we just agreed that this eclipse season of this year, because are related to the Scorpio, so they emphasize that meaning of, you know, about a little bit about the cleansing and holding things and learn to let go, and that was like a very interesting, because eclipse itself have somehow has this kind of meaning about cleansing, about the release, and about to, you know, to prepare for the starting a new journey or something. But with the Scorpio and Taurus, is emphasize the meaning about the holding it or let go, and also the, you know, especially let go of new things. So this Scorpio meaning kind of become the major theme of this eclipse. So you don't mind I show the chart so we can talk about a little bit the aspect between these in this eclipse chart. Okay, here we are. Okay, let me make it a little bit bigger. So the first things I think we would notice is I think the pretty interesting, the moon was kind of conjunct the Uranus. It's with 1 degree, with Uranus with 1 degree. What's your view about this?
Well, I definitely think that will be a shocking awakening, isn't it? It will be a shocking, it could be shocking events that really force you to let go of something if you're really trying to hold on. I think, as I've noticed in my life and in the life of a lot of my clients and loved ones as well around me, it's like the more we try to hold on to something that isn't really working, the more we try to force something to happen and something to work, the more shocking an event needs to be for us to kind of let go of it or move on from it, or, you know, go into the direction that we need to go. So Uranus can be very insightful. We have Mercury conjunction the sun there as well, during the full moon, just about to enter the sun's heart. I mean, it is already, isn't it? Because it's like an 8 minutes of arc separation, because it's 52 minutes to 0 minutes. And so I think that Mercury Uranus could also be like light speed insights that we could have, like shocking insights and like news and things that were like, wow, oh my gosh, like this is what I should be doing, this is the direction I should be going, or this is why this relationship isn't working, or you know, and that makes us move and want to take some kind of action in what we need to take action for evolving. Which I think the lunar nodes have to do, you know, is this sense of evolution and evolving, which, you know, whenever we have an eclipse, the lunar nodes are involved in the picture.
I forget to put them on. Let me put them back. It's weird. Why I couldn't see the lunar nodes?
There you go. Yeah, 13 degrees. So
Another thing I noticed is also the Saturn Uranus is not really far away. So this is I think this is the last time for the 2 years when they square each other. And I think this will be the last. Well, it will come back again, but it will be like a little bit loose. But this kind of a tight orb between the Saturn square Uranus is triggered by this lunar eclipse. I think we would be very easy to see this kind of a, you know, what should I say, a crush of a titan, crush of a titan. You should see that the big fighting the new and the old, and the different generation or different ideology and different concept is going to have a huge impact in our life. What do you take?
Yes, definitely. It's like a clash between a more progressive view and a more conserving sort of view. I forgot the word. I'm like getting rusty in my English. But anyways, it's like between conserving what's there already and bringing in the new and disrupting that and being a bit more progressive. And I think we can see that in politics, we can see that with populations, but we can also see that in our own lives, which I think indeed. Where we can really do something about it, where is that conflict between the new and the old within us, in our lives, within ourselves, and the structures of our lives as well. I also think that with Saturn being the apex of that full moon, because Saturn is going to be square to the sun there as well. So Saturn is square to all the planets in Scorpio and the planets in Taurus. I do have the feeling that it could also mean that we can take a step back and be more reflective rather than just act on impulse, especially with Mars retrograde. Rethink the situation and think it through and be more detached rather than just, get involved full power in the emotions that the Scorpio and Taurus kind of represent as well. So I think there is something of that Saturn that could be our way out. That could be, how we resolve that conflict as well through self-mastery or something.
Wow, that is so beautiful. I like this message, especially I think I like the way you say that when the Saturn become the apex of this eclipse, and then it's like we are not just take Saturn as a meaning of a bad things, but you can, but it's also an indication, a kind of inspiring how Saturn inspire our action. How could we handle this lunar eclipse? How can we respond of it? And what you say is, take it backward, take a step back, try to be more realistic. I think it's very beautiful.
It's a classic Saturn in Aquarius, isn't it? Because Saturn is in its own sign, is very powerful. And Aquarius is about detaching. If you think about the dynamics and the dilemmas between the Taurus and Scorpio, it's a lot more emotional with the Scorpio and a lot more possessive with the Taurus as well. Things and the material reality and etc. And the Aquarius comes in and says, hold on, let's take a step back. Let's be a bit detached about what's going on and look at it, with a more intellectual perspective. And I think, not to forget that Mars is retrograde and is going to trine that Saturn. So taking a step back, we can really realize what actions we need to take as well. So don't race into taking action with that eclipse just because you're feeling it very strong, but kind of ponder, take a step back, observe what's happening, because the right time to take action will also come. With that Mars cycle, going retrograde and then going forward again in January. But I really have that feeling, insights, but that we don't really need necessarily to put into practice and make it into something yet. Something very powerful, that eclipse, and finding what our true values are as well. That's what I feel with that Venus involved, not too far from the sun as well, that Venus in Scorpio. And ruling the moon in Taurus as well. It's like, what is your true value in the situation, whatever the dilemma that you're facing? The way out is your values as well. It's based on your values, I think. Wow,
you give us so many way that I think everyone take different way, to be honest. It's not just like one way how we're going to react to this lunar eclipse, and everyone, I think they will pick up different. Like I like your take about the when Mars going to trine the Saturn will be the time we're going to, respond. So at this moment, we don't need to make any decision. We don't really need to rush into it. But also, and the things you're talking about, the moon is also the way out to be rational and to be more realistic. It's pretty interesting. Another thing, I have a little question, because we know just before the lunar eclipse, a couple of days before, Jupiter changed the sign. It moved to
Pisces.
the Pisces, and it will stay there, I think, for a while. So it is very interesting. I mean, it's kind of a we have the I don't want to say because Jupiter is already retrograde for a while, but it changed. It changed the sign. It's like kind of there's something we noticed that it changed that, and then we have the Mars retrograde at the same time. So it's kind of at this moment, it really the whole environment, a near environment, is tell us say, don't rush into something.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And that Mars is in orb with a square with Neptune for a while because they're both retrograde, and Jupiter going back into Pisces as well that you're mentioning is like revisit your dreams. Yes. And I like to think that it's something that we were like thinking about, especially around February or March when we had the Jupiter Neptune conjunction in Pisces. Yes. So it's like, what was that dream? What was that big thing that you were, into? And now with Jupiter going back into Pisces, like revisit that, get in touch with that again, and try to think what you were doing back then in February, March, when those two planets encountered each other. And and with that Mars Neptune square, I really have the feeling that the way out is in. It's like the more you meditate, the more you do creative work, the more you paint or do music, or the more clarity you achieve about what you have to do out there in the world as well. It's it's like just trying to force your way out with that Mars Neptune square is challenging. And I think that Jupiter in Pisces is also, because from Pisces we'll go all the way to a new cycle, isn't it? We'll move back into Aries and it'll just go forward from there in Aries. So it's like trimming, trimming the fat. It's like going back to whatever it is, like sort of tying the knots and ending something there connected to your dreams and to something. But it's very inward. That's the feeling I have with that. Yeah.
That is so beautiful.
Internal.
Yeah, that's very, very internal, especially when the both planet is in the retrograde, and then the Jupiter, a developing planet that goes to retrograde and move into the Pisces, is bring us back to our heart, bring us back to our head to think about it and to aware about the things are changing at this moment, and we don't really need to rush into something, but that we can have a little tiny break and reflect. I like the word you use, reflect. That is a very very Piscean word, reflection things. It's really beautiful. Wow, that is very interesting about this lunar eclipse. So there's I think a few people just joining us. So how about before we finish today's podcast, we summarize a little bit how could our audience to apply these lunar eclipse energy into their life?
Into their lives. I would suggest to really pay attention. I mean, being in between eclipses is like being in the liminal space. So you're between these two doors that are really connected with big changes in your life. So I think it's a kind of an intense time. It's a time when we really tend to feel things quite strongly, especially about whatever it is that needs to go in your life. Either because you're trying to hold on or because you can't take it anymore, but there is a tendency to feel more intensely. So what I would suggest is to take a deep breath and not make any absolute decision yet in terms of actualizing out there. I would say sit with it. If you can, sit with it, do some personal inner work, go do some draw that frustration, write a letter to that person that you're really annoyed with, or to the family, or to the house, or create a vision board about the house that you want to live in, if you want to move houses, whatever it is, whatever area of your life that you're ready to change. Just conceptualize that change rather than just rush into creating it. I think that would be that Saturn and Aquarius. Take a step back if you can. Sit with those emotions, sit with that frustration, and create a vision board of what it is and how would you like that change to happen, so you can guide that energy rather than be taken over like a big wave, just sort of like dragging you along. So you can kind of ride that wave and surf that wave a little bit more. That would be my advice, for these days until the 8th and a couple of days after the 8th of November. ride that wave and do a lot of self-care as well. I think that's a very important one when we have eclipse season, is like look after yourself really well, you know, if you can, eat well, etc., so you can be more clear about what needs to be done in a couple of weeks, in a couple of months, even if you can wait for Mars to go direct.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Wow, thank you, Fernanda. With chat with you is always inspiring, and especially during this very important changing time between the solar eclipse and the lunar eclipse. The eclipse season usually is kind of a pretty exciting, and the things keep changing. And sometimes you need to listen this kind of suggestion to, I should not rush into something.
Give ourselves license to it, isn't it? Like we live in a world that's constantly go, do. It's like
Indeed.
a real like go after, go getter, and etc. And like take some internal non-action moment is really tricky. We feel really guilty. I don't know. I feel really guilty when I know that I shouldn't be taking action, but it's like but everybody's taking action. We all taking action in society.
True.
Yeah.
It's like if we don't do something, then we make mistake.
Or we're being lazy, or we're not working hard enough, or we you know, it's like it's really sometimes really hard to truly relax. And I think the eclipse season is a great time for us to relax, to try to really relax into that change and make the best, make the most that we can do with that energy, with that strong urge.
Definitely. Well, and talking about these, because I think the one thing I'd like to, before we end today's conversation, I'd like to announce we have the whole series of webinars coming soon. And we are prepared for, because next year, 2023, we will have Pluto move into Aquarius and the Saturn move into Pisces. This is a huge change, and totally is like a very different environment from next year. So for preparers, and I prepared 4 different webinars. Each webinar we have 2 astrologers going to talk about on this topic. I think for Fernanda would be will be January, right? Will be December. Will be December 17th of December. Fernanda going to talk about the Pluto in Aquarius, and Lin Bell going to talk about Saturn in Pisces, and then we will have a conversation between Fernanda and Lin Bell. But also this month in the 26th November, we will have Dr. J.Lee Lehman and Mandy Laclay, and they will both focus on the Pluto in the move into Aquarius. And then by January, we will have Darby Costello with Alejo Lopez. And then in February, we have Christine Skinner and Liam McCarthy, another regular speaker. So whole this 4 webinar I already post online. So if you need the information, you can click my profile, you can click it, and then there will be a link bring you to this message. But also, Fernanda, personally, do you have any event or any talk you are prepared in the recent months or nearly future?
Next couple of months. I am preparing series of couple of webinars, so part 1 and part 2. I really want to do something practical. I want a small group as well, ideally, and it will be all about. It's almost like a journal work or journaling work. So it will be all about 2022. And sort of like see what were the major transits and movements of 22 placed in your chart, to see what is in the context of your life. So it's like basically where you came from. And part 2 will be where do you go from now, which will be 2023. So I'm going to be doing 2 webinars on basically acknowledging where you are astrologically and like in your life. And then based on that, the transits of 23 and what would be the best intentions for you to set, and to really ride that wave and, you know, use that at your favor, basically. So this is going to be in December as well. Okay.
I like this idea. I remember early this year, you and Alejo host another similar things, but it's more about, because with Jupiter Neptune conjunction. So there is a little bit of meditation things, and that it was really helpful. So this type of approach is very interesting. So If when
Yeah.
do you have you released these detail about
I have sent to my email list. I haven't created
okay,
anything solid,
okay,
as in like in a website yet. Or,
okay,
but if you are interested,
yep,
you can email me on astrofern@gmail.com, or you can
okay,
DM me here on
yeah,
Instagram as well, and I can send the form. So I already have a waiting list of people for me to
ooh,
release, everything, all of the other details as well. But I'm very excited with this one because it's very practical. It's
it
meant to
is
help you with like having a clear vision of what you can do next year, basically, and what would be the
beautiful.
best for you to intend for next year. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Fernanda. Thank you for being here with us and bring us a so insightful view about this lunar eclipse, and also really looking forward if you are interested, if everyone is interested in Fernanda's workshop and two part of a webinar and working with a diary and a very practical way. Even for me, I think, oh, I want to do that. It's
Yeah.
very interesting. So please contact Fernanda for this event. I think it's already on waiting list. So hey, hurry up, okay? Well, next week I already contacted Leanne, so Leanne will come back to join me on next Wednesday. Leanne and I will bring you the weekly transit, and usually Leanne and I we were talking about something a little bit more, the mundane level, maybe like political or cultural. Anyway, we will see what happened that time, and we'll bring you some interesting topic and the recent transit. But before that, stay tuned. Thank you. Thanks, Fernanda. Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you. Really nice to
Bye.
meet you. Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.
Bye bye.